If the internet disappeared tomorrow, no Wi-Fi, no apps, no DMs, how many of the people you're talking to would still be in your dating pool? Before online dating, before social media, before you could accidentally meet someone through a comment under a random reel. Most people met their partners in very local, very ordinary ways, where they worked, where they worshiped, where they went to school, the neighborhood they lived in, the places they actually showed up to every week. The teacher dated someone else in the school or in the district. The mail carrier dated someone along their route, or a friend of a friend from the same town. The bank teller dated someone from church or from their cousin's barbecue. The pool wasn't the whole world. It was the circle you actually lived in. And there were problems with that, of course. People felt stuck, limited, or invisible. Some communities were deeply unfair or unsafe. But there was one thing that was clear. Your dating pool was your environment, the people you genuinely crossed paths with in your real, everyday life. Now, fast forward to today, we have dating apps. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, DMs, and so on. The teacher can match with someone in another state or country. The nurse can flirt with someone 3 time zones away. The mail carrier can scroll and end up in the DMs of a C-suite executive, not because their lives overlap, but because their phones overlap. The internet didn't just widen our reach, it blurred the line between I can technically contact you and we realistically belong to each other's world. And that's where things get interesting. Just because I can press message doesn't mean we occupy the same life. It just means there's less distance between your screens, not your lives. Your dating pool is the realistic group of people who have the capacity to build something with you in real life. Same city or willing to relocate, compatible schedules, similar life stage, shared values, mutual effort. Your pull is how much attention, interest, and fantasy you think you can command online. Matches, likes, flirty DMs, comments, emojis, late night, hey stranger messages. The internet has given a lot of us pull that doesn't match our real life pool. When you get a flood of attention online, especially if you're re-entering dating in midlife, after a divorce, a long marriage, or a break, it can feel like a new kind of power. You're thinking, people I never would have met are interested in me. I must have leveled up. Look who I can pull now. But a lot of that pull is boredom, curiosity, ego, convenience, or people who have zero intention of building anything real with anyone. So you start to overestimate your pull. You think, if this executive or that influencer or this person across the world is engaging with me, then that must be my standard now. And then they don't commit. They drag things out. They disappear. They breadcrumb you. And the crash is brutal because now the local, stable, emotionally available person you used to value feels basic. You're comparing real world, everyday humans to a highlight reel of people you can temporarily access but not actually keep. So your expectations go up, your patience goes down, and your self-esteem gets tied to who responds instead of who shows up. I want to be really clear. This is not about saying, stay in your lane. Date only people from your block. Don't reach higher. People absolutely do meet outside their usual circles online and build beautiful, healthy lives together. That happens. This isn't about shaming aspiration. It's about telling the truth about proportion. The truth is, your true dating pool is not every person you could technically message. Your true dating pool is the cluster of people whose lives actually overlap with yours in a meaningful, ongoing way. Are there exceptions to that? Of course. But if we organize our entire sense of worth and desirability around these exceptions, we end up chronically disappointed, chronically comparing, and chronically overlooking what's right in front of us. The internet also complicated a question a lot of us don't want to sit with. Are you your type's type? I don't mean that in a harsh, stay in your lane way. I mean in a reality check, self-protective way. It's one thing to be drawn to a certain type, a look, a lifestyle, a level of status. The internet makes that type feel closer than ever. You can follow them, DM them, laugh at the same memes. You feel like you're in the same room. But attraction is not the same as alignment. You might be obsessed with a type that, in their real life, consistently chooses partners with a different lifestyle, age, range, or value set than yours. Without the internet, that mismatch would show up quickly. You just wouldn't cross paths. With the internet, you keep getting little hits of access, likes, replies, almosts, and it can keep you stuck chasing people who were never going to build a life with you, while overlooking the people who would choose you if you made space for them. So the question isn't, is my type too high? The question is my type reciprocal? Does the kind of person I'm fixated on actually tend to choose people like me in age, in values, in stage of life, in how we live day to day? That's not about lowering your standards. It's about shifting them from fantasy to reality, from clout to compatibility. If you're sitting there realizing, wow, a lot of the people I've been fixated on probably don't actually choose people like me in real life, I want you to hear this very clearly. This is not an invitation to drag yourself. It's an invitation to protect yourself. A reality check is not an insult. It's a boundary. You're not doing too much for wanting what you want. You're just not required to keep bleeding for someone else's pattern. And once you see that clearly, your pool, your pull, and whether you're your type's type, you're actually in the most powerful position you've been in for a long time. You can choose differently. Not being chosen by someone whose world, values, or patterns don't match what you truly need is not a sign that you're less than. It's a sign that that door is not your door. You're allowed to grieve the fantasy. You're allowed to feel a little embarrassed by past choices. You're allowed to say, yeah, I chased that way longer than I should have. And then you're allowed to move on. You don't owe your past patterns everlasting loyalty. And if you're a woman, I want to add this very clearly. Just because you seem to attract a certain type of man that you don't even like does not mean you're broken or that you need to go on some emergency self-fixing mission. There is nothing wrong with improving yourself, putting your best self forward, working on your health, your style, your healing. That's beautiful, but please don't confuse their interest with your defect. A lot of men across class, status, and income have been socialized to believe they can pursue, even deserve, almost anyone they want if they just shoot their shot. The culture tells them, aim high. You never know. So when men you would never actually build a life with are in your DMs or approaching you, that is not proof that you're on their level. Many times, it's just proof of the audacity they were taught to have. So don't internalize every mismatch as, why am I only attracting this? Sometimes you're not only attracting, that you're just noticing who's the loudest. Their entitlement is not a mirror of your value. So yes, reflect, grow, heal, but do not turn male audacity into a verdict about your worth. Their reach is not your rating. If I had to sum all of this up in one sentence, it would be this: the internet expanded our visibility, but love still requires reciprocity. Your pool is not everyone who can see you. Your pull is not proof that someone is capable of loving you well. You deserve a relationship that is mutual, grounded in reality, and lived in the same world you wake up in every day, not just the same app. Thank you so much for watching. This is part 5 of the end of year midlife series. If you want more conversations like this, especially for those of us in midlife, navigating dating, healing, and building a life that actually fits us, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.
How far we've left, and how far we've come. My friends, it's still